Hello guys, and welcome to my second tutorial. What I'm going to show you today is how to create a low poly spiral staircase. Actually, this is not such an original tutorial. You will find numerous tutorials on this matter, but I'm going to use a different method. Actually, what I'm going to do in those other tutorials, how would you create the step? This is not the actual tutorial. I want to show you in a few words how one might create a low spiral staircase. Well, you would add a cube and you would scale it in order to create your first step of the staircase. Okay, we would change the center of the step and then we would add a keyframe, a visual lock rot keyframe. Then we would go, let's say 15 frames later, and we would rise and rotate the step, press I, and visual lock rot. What then, if you go to the object options and if you enable frames, then you have your spiral staircase. Okay, this is not a perfect model, but this is not what I want to do for this tutorial. Okay, what's the problem with this method? First of all, you can see that there are overlapping steps, and the upper steps or the middle steps have empty spaces between them. So you have to tinker a bit in order to create a result that might suit your needs. What I'm going to show you today is how to create a spiral staircase using a totally different method, which might be more time consuming, but we will avoid this effect of having overlapping steps or spaces between the steps. So I'm deleting this model, or I'm going to open a new model, a new file. Let me enable the screencast keys, and the actual tutorial starts right now. What I'm going to do first is add a simple plane. I'm going to edit mode, and I'm deleting these two vertices. And I will move the other two vertices so that their median is at 0, 0, 0. Okay. Next, I will apply my modifier, the modifier that will help me achieve the effect of a spiral staircase, and this is the screw modifier. Okay, I'm applying it and I get this messy model, and we have to make some alterations to the modifier in order to achieve our effect. First of all, we have to change the screw value, and this will affect our height. I'm using the metric system, so I'm going to make this staircase 3 meters high. Okay, now we have a spiral looking model. Looks like a DNA, but it's far from a spiral staircase. One other thing I'm going to change is the number of steps. This actually will show us how many steps our staircase will have. Okay, so I'm going to make them 15 steps. So I have a ladder 3 meters high, and with 15 steps, this means that each step will be 20 centimeters in height. Okay, now I have to make some more alterations, and I need the help of another object, so I'm adding an empty plane axis. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to assign this empty as an axis origin of my model. Okay, and now if I move along the x-axis, if I move the empty along the x-axis, we see how this affects my model. what I want to do is I want to create an empty space in the middle and create a column that will pass through this empty space. We can see it better if we go from the top view. Okay, you see the empty space, and I will change to ortho view. Okay, you see this circle here, it's the empty space I'm talking about, and by moving the empty along the x-axis, I'm changing the radius of this, let's say, this circle. So I'm going to leave it somewhere here, it's smaller here, I think it's fine. Alright, and next I'm going to apply my modifier. If I go to edit mode now, we see the topology of our mesh, and we will go on by selecting these mid edges, all these mid edges, except this one, the topmost one. And next we are going to extrude them along the z-axis, and we are going to raise them exactly 20 centimeters. And you remember the reason: we have a ladder, a staircase, which is 3 meters high, and it has 15 steps. So 15 steps and 20 centimeters for each step. We have a total of 3 meters in height. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect these edges in order to create the upper face of each step. So I'm connecting this one with this one, this with this, and I will go on for the total of the steps. Okay, this with this. You can now clearly see that we have the upper part of our steps created, and now I'm going to create the lower part. Before I do this, I have to delete these faces in the middle, and I'm going to select all of my faces and duplicate and move along the z-axis. I will lower exactly at 20 centimeters lower, and I'm going to delete this face here, I won't need it. Okay, now you see that our steps are done and they are finished, and you can see that they do not overlap each other and that there is no empty space left between two steps. They are totally adjacent. Where the first step ends, the following starts. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to work a bit on the side to create a handrail. Okay, one might expect to fill these areas in this way, but I'm not going to do this. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to select this vertical edge here and the corresponding vertical edge from the next step, this one, and press F. Okay, so I have connected this vertical edge with this, creating a new face, and I will go on for the following steps. This vertical edge with the vertical edge of the following step, and I will keep going until I reach the top of the staircase. Okay, it might be time consuming, but I think the final result is satisfying. Okay, I will do the same for the lower part. Okay, here we have a triangle, we cannot avoid that, so I'm leaving a triangle here, but for the rest of the steps we will go on as previously, connecting vertical edges adjacent steps. I think you got the hang of it. Okay, finally here, and for the end I have to create one more triangle. I could make it quad, but I'm leaving it as it is. Okay, now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to select these side faces. You notice that the topology is somehow messy, but I'm going to fix this right now. Okay, make sure that you select only the outer side faces. This and this one. What I'm going to do is I will create a vertex group, a temp vertex group, and I will assign these side faces to this group. Okay. I think that, let me see, select, no, it selects the inner edge too, so I won't create this one. I wanted to show you something. Let me go a few steps back. Alright, what's the problem? The problem is that these side faces, they are not connected. Okay, you can clearly see that the upper face and the lower face are not connected. So, having just the side faces selected, press W and remove doubles, and this will connect these separate faces. Okay, so we can work on them now. Having selected these side faces, press E to extrude, right click and press S, Shift Z to lock the Z-axis, and start moving your cursor until you're satisfied with the result. I think here is fine. Okay, so we have created the base of our side rail. Let me smooth. Okay, you may have noticed that there are areas where the normals are problematic. Let me enable the normals view. Okay, you see, for example, here and here that the normals are facing inwards while they are facing outwards. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select all my faces and press Ctrl N, and this fixes the problem. Now we have all of our normals looking outside, so I will disable the normals view, and we can go on by adding some more detail. We will add the handrail. We will select these faces. No, first of all, let me fill these empty spaces, this empty space here. Okay, you can see that the steps, there is a space between the steps and the base of the handrail. So select this edge and press Alt Shift and right click. This will select all these faces, and just press F. Okay, now the empty space is filled. You can fill this area too, but I'm leaving it open because I will place a column here, so I don't have to create these faces. These gaps won't be visible, so I'm leaving it as it is. But if you want, if it suits your needs, you can close them as well using the same method. Alt Shift right click and then press F. Uh, so I will work on the handrail now. I'm selecting these faces. Alright, and then let's press E to extrude and extrude along the Z-axis. I want the handrail to be almost 80 centimeters in height. That's fine. And now we will select by pressing Alt Shift and right click these side faces, and we will deselect these faces. Okay, now change the pivot point to individual origins. Press Alt T and select individual faces, right click and then press S. Okay, this causes the new faces to shrink a bit. Okay, I'm going to shrink it here. Alright, and then press X to delete these faces. Alright, you can see what I have created here. The only thing is that there is again empty space here, gaps, and we will have to fill them. So press Alt Shift and right click to select this loop, and Alt Shift and right click to select the inner loop. And then I won't press F, I will press W and bridge to edge loops. And I will go on for the following spaces, the following. Okay, press W and bridge to edge loops, bridge to edge loops. Okay, I understand that this is too manual work to do, but you may choose another method to use for your handrail. Alright, okay, we're almost done. Now we have to I'm going to add the simple cylinder here in the middle. Okay, first of all, let me place my 3D cursor where the empty is. Just remember not to delete the empty, so you have so you may be able to place your cursor here. And I will add a cylinder. I don't like angons, I will add a triangle fan. Not 32, let me the half of vertices, 16. Okay, now I'm going to let me change this to median point, and let's scale until the radius is a bit larger than the empty gap in the middle. Scale Z. Okay, I'm doing this a bit fast. Okay, but okay, we have a column. I'm not going to work more with this column in the middle. That was not the point of the tutorial. Okay, let me create a quick effect. Okay, something like that. I don't like it, but the meaning and the target of this tutorial was to create the spiral staircase. So you may create your own column here. It might be a tree, a stone column, a wooden column, whatever you like. The thing is that what I wanted to create was this spiral staircase. You can see how the steps do not overlap each other. There are no empty spaces. Okay, I could work a little bit more with the handrail. I don't like it as it is, so I'm selecting these faces. I will extrude a little bit along the z-axis. I will select these faces too by Alt Shift and right clicking. I will extrude, scale along the z-axis, no, extrude, and how I'm going to do this? Extrude and scale, Alt S. Let me press Alt S to shrink or fatten. Okay, so I extrude it and I press Alt S to fatten a bit. Okay, so I have created an actual handrail. Okay, I'm going to add a little detail because I want to make it more beautiful. So you may extrude this a little bit to the inside. Okay, this, and you can go on creating other effects for your staircase. Okay, you can use this model. I think it's probably more suitable for medieval style games in a church or in a castle or in things like that. But all in all, that's the model I was hoping to create, and I hope you understood the method I used. Of course, you are free to comment and to make your suggestions. I know it might not be the best way to create a spiral staircase, but it's a different one, and I hope you liked this tutorial. Until the next time, keep blending, and okay, and see you.